You're listening to the Animation Portfolio Workshop podcast series. In this segment, Gerard Sternik speaks with Jim Zubkavich, the program coordinator for Seneca's Animation Arts Center at York University in Toronto. Part 3.
Jim, can you answer another question for me?
Hopefully.
A parent we were speaking to, actually I have a feeling you will, a parent we were speaking to yesterday was talking about various things. Their daughter was thinking of joining our workshop. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions she asked, which we often get asked too, is, are there any jobs in animation? When I was at Sheridan, and this dates me somewhat, the web was actually just kind of getting off the ground. The idea of animation and the internet was just kind of new. The animation and digital technology was becoming more common. But that idea of an outlet for places to animate being virtual or online didn't exist.
No, not at all. I remember there was only like a handful of people in my class who had an email address.
So what I'm wondering is, sometimes what I say to these people is, I say, look, I'm not an animator, so I can't tell you definitively, but I can conjecture this. When I was teaching at Sheridan, the kinds of people who were hiring, Disney, Sony, and everything, were huge companies.
Right.
Now I suspect that there are animation companies, web-based jobs that are with other huge companies that are tied entirely to the internet as a venue, as opposed to a feature film or whatever. Can you comment a bit on that, Jim?
Well, I've actually got a pretty good response for that, and it's just sort of in one avenue. So, for example, one of the most fastest growing areas of animation is in video games.
Okay.
And interactive entertainment, okay?
Yeah. So,
putting it into these terms, over the last couple years, video games have dwarfed movies and music combined.
Is that right?
It's true. So the video game industry now brings in more money than the music industry and movies combined. It's done so for the last, I think, 2 years.
Wow.
But here's the kicker of it, okay? So at this point in time, we have what's called the maximum saturation point for movies. So children watch movies, and teenagers watch movies, and parents watch movies, and the elderly watch movies. But up to this point, my generation is the first generation that's really solidly played video games.
Yes.
And as I get older and become elderly, we're going to grow into the generation where everyone is playing video games. So we're already at a point where the entire world is playing these games to a degree that it is now the biggest entertainment medium in terms of dollars and cents.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And it still has an entire generation still to grow into itself.
Now, you guys obviously keep your ear to the ground on stuff like this, right? Because I'm sure your own students are asking the same question that these people's parents are asking, yeah? And do you have a video game program at Seneca?
We do. What we do is in the third year of our program, students get to choose a stream. So they choose either a character animation, 3D animation stream, or they choose a video game-focused stream.
Wow.
And so they get to pick between sort of those two. And, I mean, the reality is that the courses are sort of getting closer and closer together. It used to be that our video game program was much more specific because video games had, you know, when you're pre-rendering stuff like for movies or for commercials, you can go to a much higher degree of detail.
Yes, yes.
Whereas with video games where it's rendering what they call on the fly or, you know, as it happens, you couldn't go as detailed. But with the processing power of the video game machines now, it's getting to the point where they're getting very, very close together.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Jim, one other thing, well, there's more than one, but can you give us some projects that your students have worked on? We know about the whole involvement of Seneca with the Ryan project.
Well, let me talk a little bit about that, and then I'll hit off of a bunch of other things that we've done. So, in brief, for people who may not know this, the Ryan project was basically the director, Chris Landreth. He's an award-winning filmmaker. Mm-hmm. He had an idea for a film, and he ended up approaching the National Film Board of Canada and Seneca College. We partnered up with them, and 90% of the animation that's in the Ryan project was done by our graduates.
Wow.
And a few of our faculty who are working in a supervising type position or doing storyboarding or things like that.
Yeah. Well, wow.
The majority of the film was done by Seneca students and put together, and then it went on the film circuit, did really well, and then won the Academy Award.
I remember that.
So,
and we were able to see that film thanks to Larry DeFlorio.
Yep. Yeah, Larry was the one who spearheaded that whole project. He's also the one who started the animation program at Seneca, and he's the guy who hired me as well. So.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Because I actually remember, I think I met Chris Landreth thanks to Larry DeFlorio. I think he was in the school when we were visiting there once, Vince and I. Do you remember that, Vince?
Actually, yes.
And I think he introduced us to Chris Landreth.
It was, let's see, we went into the school, we looked at the studios where all the students were working, and if you can remember, a really good guy, Dave Bass.
Oh, yeah, of course, Dave Bass.
Yeah, totally. When I knew Dave from way back at OCA, both of us taking cartooning courses a long time ago when he actually had hair. And he took us, and he said, hey, look, here's the place, here's the studio, and here's the director. This is Chris.
That's awesome.
And he's just this gangly guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, Chris.
You don't think of the guy. You just
know who he is.
He's some student guy or whatever, but he's the director. It was really, I walked away from that thinking, man, to be a student in that environment would be the best.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal experience for our students. Actually, last year we just finished doing another film with Chris. So
is that right?
Yeah, it's now hitting the film circuit, and it's called The Spine, and you'll be seeing a lot more about it, I'm sure.
Oh, fantastic! And that was the same basic idea. It was done.
Same concept. This time there were even just a massive amount of talent put onto it from Seneca students.
Oh, nice.
And, the footage is phenomenal. So,
Jim, can you give us some more do some more name dropping about other productions?
So other things our students have worked on. Let me give you some. They've worked on things like the Wolverine movie, The Incredible Hulk.
Oh yeah.
They've done work on films like King Kong. They've done work on video game projects like Mass Effect 2 and Dragon Age for BioWare. They've worked for Blizzard on World of Warcraft. They've worked on The Corpse Bride and
that is that right, eh?
Yep, the movie that came out 9, the Tim Burton produced one.
Yep.
So just a slew of feature film projects and high-end AAA video game titles.
Were there any Harry Potters or Lord of the Rings in there? Or?
Well, one of our guys at WADA, so he ended up coming. I think he might have worked a little bit on Return of the King just as they were wrapping it up, and then he worked on King Kong right after that.
Cool, man. Quite a roster you've got there.
Yeah, it's been a really, really fantastic crop of students we've had. And if you look on our website and things like that, one of the things we do is every year, of course, we cut a new demo reel. I know a lot of schools, what they'll do is they'll cut a demo reel of like the best footage from the last 6 years, and you get this idea like, wow, every year they're pumping out this stuff. But the reality is it's like a best of album.
Oh, wow.
But with us, what we do is we cut a new reel every year with just the latest footage from that year, so people get a really good idea of the cross-section of work that our students produced in the last year and the type of quality that you can actually expect from our graduates.
It's fresh and recent kind
of. You got it.
Thank you for listening. To see successful examples of animation portfolios drawn by our students, visit animationportfolioworkshop.com.